guy that I would be most interested in is Micah Parsons because he is 25. He'll be 26 next year during the season. Would he cost you the most? Yes, because of his age. It wouldn't. It wouldn't scare me off.
All right. So you wanted to talk a little bit about Micah Parsons.
Right? I think we had the conversation earlier in crosstalk with Eddie and Carm. I think Carm has made it known that he's not a huge fan of dealing first round picks. And I understand that, but I believe, wasn't there something this morning with Albert?
Yeah, so Albert Breer, who you can hear obviously on Cap and J Hood every Tuesday with the guys, although Deion Miller was in for Cap today. Albert talked about the pass rushers who could be on the market, specifically Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, and Micah Parsons.
And we know that the Bears do need a pass rusher.
Yes, I think we all agree on
opposite of
that.
Montez Sweat.
Yes, I think we can all agree on that. Here was Albert Breer's breakdown of some of the potentially available pass rushers this offseason.
So those are all different situations. Joe Burrow's put a lot of pressure on the Bengals to sign their own guys, and Trey Hendrickson is in that category. He has 35 sacks over the last 2 years, which is pretty incredible. He deserves a real market correction. That thing has gone sideways. He's not going to give them a discount. So I'll be interested to see where that goes, but I don't think the Bengals want to let him go. And they've shown a willingness to take a hard line in the past. So I'd be surprised if he's not on the Bengals next year. The Browns are taking a hard line on Myles Garrett. I think so much of whether or not that's fixable will come down to what their plan is at quarterback, and then being able to give Myles Garrett, a real feeling that he's going to be able to compete for a championship there and doesn't need to go somewhere else to do it. I think that one also, I think both those could get ugly. The Micah Parsons thing's interesting because, Micah Parsons is going to ask for $40 million a year. That's what it is. And he, I don't have any problem with him asking for that amount based on what he's already accomplished as a player. The Cowboys have already invested huge amounts of money in Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb for the foreseeable future. Are they going to be willing to do the same thing for Micah Parsons? I don't think this one gets ugly the way the other two do, but I think it's I do think it's the one that maybe would be most likely to wind up resulting in the team really considering a trade.
So there you go, Albert Breer talking specifically about Micah Parsons there at the end, potentially being the most available, according to him.
By the way, as I look at this now, I believe there's only one pass rusher currently in the league that is making over $30 million a year.
That is correct, Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa is making $34 million a year, and he's saying that Micah Parsons is going to ask for $40 per year. And the next highest paid pass rusher is Josh Hines Allen from Jacksonville. So, and he's at $28.2 million a year. I get it, it's a steep price. He's going to be 26. So let's say you sign him to a 4 or 5-year deal, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Yeah.
So you're going to get 5 years out of him kind of. And we've had this conversation with Courtney in the past, and she was talking about Myles Garrett and that, pass rushers kind of hit their stride at 30. Or right around there.
Mm-hmm. Kind of right where Myles Garrett is right now.
And right where Hendrickson is. Hendrickson's 31. He's had back-to-back seasons of 17 and a half sacks. Now, I wouldn't trade for Hendrickson because, he is 31 years of age. And I think the Bengals will end up signing him. I don't know what's going to happen with Garrett. The guy that I would be most interested in is Micah Parsons because he is 25. He'll be 26 next year during the season. Would he cost you the most? Yes, because of his age. And then contract-wise, he would probably also cost you the most in terms of salary.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't scare me off. I would still be interested in making that call to see what it was going to take.
For Parsons?
Yes, because he plays a position where you do have a need.
It would be virtually Khalil Mack all over again.
Yes.
Because Micah Parsons will be 26 next season. He has seasons of 13 and a half, 14, and then 12 sacks last year. He only played in 13 games. Remember, he missed 4 games because of injury.
Yes.
In his career, 52 and a half sacks in 63 games. He's almost a sack per game guy, when all is said and done.
And look, If they drafted like Howie Roseman, and then I would be all on board with them following the Howie Roseman approach. But they haven't. So I think that they should consider, eliminating some of the risk that goes along with having first and second round draft picks. You have a need on the defensive line, right?
Yep.
He's going to be better than anyone you'll get at 10.
There's no question.
It's going to cost you more than 10. It's going to cost you another first round and then some other stuff as well. At the end of the day, how much better does he make your team? He makes Sweat better. He makes Dexter better. He makes Billings better. He makes Edmonds better. He makes everybody better on that defensive side of the ball. And if you are someone that does believe that Caleb Williams is capable of a lot better play consistently with Ben Johnson here next year, and you think that DJ Moore's 2025 is going to be significantly better than last year, and Cole Kmet and Rome Odunze for the same reason, you still have draft currency and plenty of capital to put to work at other spots of areas of need, whether it's the offensive guard, offensive tackle. And, so I think you do have the resources, if you're creative, to really address a lot of these issues, even if you were in the Micah Parsons sweepstakes.
I'll suggest to you, if you're the Bears, you can't believe anything else. You have to believe that Caleb Williams is capable of having a much better year being paired with Ben Johnson.
And now's the time
You are pot committed if you're the Bears. You've already made Caleb Williams the number 1 overall pick. There's no going back.
And now's the time to be aggressive because you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. So when you get to the end of that Micah Parsons contract, obviously hypothetically, then you're going to have to segue into your quarterback being the most expensive player on your team.
Hopefully get to the point where you're having conversations that we just had about Brock Purdy and the 49ers,
Correct.
right? Like when Caleb Williams is due for a huge raise in one of those monster quarterback contracts, hopefully he's proven himself, that he's worthy of one of those big deals. If he hasn't, chances are
you're screwed anyway.
Chances are Ryan Poles is not going to be the general manager anyway at that point, because if you can't commit to Caleb Williams being your franchise quarterback, Ryan Poles' tenure as Bears GM will have been a failure anyway.
Right.
So in some ways, if you're Ryan Poles, it might be in your best interest to go to the Ryan Pace playbook and try and run back the Khalil Mack deal.
Isn't one thing about the Ryan Pace playbook is it wasn't just that he traded all those picks for Khalil Mack. He traded up for Anthony Miller. He traded up for David Montgomery. Before that, he obviously traded for Mitchell Trubisky.
Their cupboard was never filled with draft picks.
You can offset some of the pain of those premium picks if you have a backlog of third round, fourth round, fifth round picks,
which you may get if Ian Cunningham does go away.
And you can continue acquiring those and still maybe thread the needle a little bit better than Ryan Pace is able to.
Look, I mean, you can still find guys as well, and we went through the list of starting offensive linemen with the Eagles yesterday. Lane Johnson's the only first-round pick on that roster, I believe.
Well, Mekhi Becton,
but he wasn't theirs.
He was not theirs.
No, Becton was a guy they brought in after a very difficult stretch with the Jets, and they kind of rehabilitated him, and they developed him. So use your second-round pick on someone that can play the center position. Use your third-round pick on somebody that can play the guard or tackle position. I don't think that, if you decided to trade for Micah Parsons, it means that's all you can do. No, you've got plenty of cash. You could still go out there and sign Trey Smith.
You'll still have easily $20 to $25 million of cap room. And then, as Charlie pointed out earlier in the show, if you rid yourself of someone like Gerald Everett, maybe Ryan Bates, all of a sudden there's another $10 or $11 million of cap room to work with as well. So
I'm not saying it's the only way to go, because, again, I think Carmen makes a really good point that, hey, if you can build through the draft, it's the most effective way because you get guys in cost-effective
deals,
deals early on, and you can bring those guys along and you can develop them. But they have the resources that they can go down any number of avenues. So I would be all on board with them putting in a call to Jerry Jones and seeing what it would take to get Micah Parsons out of there. I'm not saying it's a must-have or it has to be done, but I wouldn't shy away from it and just keep my head down and go, we're going to build this thing just through the draft. Well, How's that gone for you so far? Maybe, the 25, 26, 27 drafts will be significantly better. But so far, you haven't been able to find those guys at the line of scrimmage.
My question is, I don't truly believe that Jerry Jones will entertain trading Micah Parsons. I think he's using Micah Parsons' but like his wanting a new contract and then a potential holdout in the offseason. I think Jerry Jones uses these as ways for him to keep his team in the limelight all throughout training camp, all as the season
And if
approaches.
that's the case, fine.
He's done it for 2 consecutive years with both Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, and ultimately what ended up happening is
signed him.
the week of the NFL openers, he signed both players.
And I'm fine with that. And then at that point, you go forward with trying to improve your team with free agency in the draft.
Are you out on
Fine.
Myles Garrett? If that deal's available for Myles Garrett.
Probably a little more so on him than Micah Parsons because of the age.
But if that's like the most
I'd have to know what
available.
I would definitely make the call. I would make a call to anybody if that player significantly improves my team. I think you can argue Myles Garrett has been the best defensive player in the league the last 2 years. So, yes, I'm making the call.
I don't even think you have to argue. I think most people who follow football would roundly agree that Myles Garrett has been the best.
It would be
defensive
a
player.
tougher decision for me because
of his age.
Because of his age.